Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Believe in Lions podcast. That's BLEAV right here on the Believe Network. And it is another glorious day to be a Detroit Lions fan. Taylor Decker got the money. Taylor Decker got paid, and Taylor Decker is now under contract with the Detroit Lions for another 4 years. And it came at the perfect time. His mentor, Lomas Brown, former left tackle for the Detroit Lions, back when Barry Sanders was playing for the Lions, he was in attendance at camp today, says Decker is like his eldest son. Lomas Brown loves Taylor Decker. Detroit loves Taylor Decker. Just high praise from absolutely everyone that you can imagine. Every teammate speaks highly of Taylor Decker. The entire media speaks highly of Taylor Decker in Detroit. We are obviously fans of Taylor Decker, having had him on the show, friend of the show, Taylor Decker. We also had Steve Yzerman and Chris Draper, the general manager and assistant general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. Red Wings legends in their own right, all in attendance after Taylor Decker signs his deal. 3 years, $60 million, and he will be with the team for 4 years. So Taylor Decker was in the final year of his deal. That deal was going to pay him just over $13 million this year. So in reality, 3 years, $60 million, that's $20 million per season. But in reality, this is a 4-year deal if we want to start over. And that is $73.7 million, puts him at $18.25 million per year. And in perspective with the rest of the league, that's left tackle number 8 and offensive tackle number 14 across the NFL for Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker gets his money, well deserved, happy to see it, but it's not going to kill the Lions either. This is going to be a good contract. That price tag just keeps going up and up and up at offensive tackle. Laremy Tunsil already sounds like he wants a new deal. Everyone wants a new deal, so the Lions get these deals done early, set the market. Taylor Decker's happy. The Lions are happy. It's a win-win for all sides. And Decker said that he knew this was going to be coming. Dan Campbell had told him to just be patient, that the deal would get done. Just hold on, be calm, relax, focus on football, and the deal will get done. And Taylor Decker said, all right, well, if Dan Campbell's telling me that, I trust him. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. He gets his new contract, says he's always planned to retire a Detroit Lion, and that becomes more likely with this contract. As for holdouts, we're seeing many holdouts across the NFL for players wanting new contracts. Decker says that was never an option, never on his mind, not the kind of player that he is. Taylor Decker just wanted to get paid, but wanted to play, knows his role on the team, knows that he is a leader on the team, and didn't want to put that in jeopardy with a holdout. And it just doesn't seem like the Lions' style to have these holdouts. The Lions do right by their players. We see it over and over and over again. We've seen it 3 other times this offseason. We saw Jared Goff get his contract, 4 years, $212 million. At the time, he was the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL behind only Joe Burrow. Now he's the 5th highest paid quarterback in the NFL behind Joe Burrow, who's also tied with Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence. Tua Tagovailoa also getting more money than Jared Goff. And again, this is why you pay players early. This is why you hand out those deals early, set the market. Now you get quarterbacks like Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love all making more than Jared Goff. And I'd rather have Jared Goff than all 3 of those guys. So it's just a sign that the brand new Lions continue to make good decisions, continue to get things done. Same with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He became the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL before quickly A.J. Brown passed him, then Justin Jefferson passed him. CeeDee Lamb is about to pass him. Brandon Ayuk wants to pass St. Brown as well, but 4 years, $120 million for Amon-Ra St. Brown, getting $30 million a year. Pay him early and then set the market, and everyone starts making more than him. And the same with Penei Sewell, though players are not being paid more than Penei Sewell just yet at offensive tackle. It's coming. Penei Sewell signs his 4-year, $112 million contract to be that bookend opposite Taylor Decker. So now you've got Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell. Both are paid. Both are with the Lions for the foreseeable future. It is beautiful to have that strong of an offensive line together for as long as we're expected to see them together. It's 4 more years for Taylor Decker. I think it's 6 years for Penei Sewell. Maybe Taylor Decker signs a new contract after that. Maybe he retires after that. But either way, at least 4 more years of Decker and Penei Sewell. You absolutely love to see it. And speaking of Penei Sewell, we did see him one-on-one with Aiden Hutchinson today. And by all accounts, he is just a joy to watch. This battle, Hutchinson versus Sewell, is just iron sharpening iron. This is just two gladiators, two players at the prime of their career, two of the best players in the NFL, Sewell and Hutchinson. By all accounts, it was a stalemate. Sewell won the first rep. Hutchinson won the second rep, though some people think Sewell still probably ran him around the edge. A lot of people say it was Hutchinson that got the victory. Either way, it's just so nice to hear that the two best players on the team are looking like the two best players on the team. Just absolutely chef's kiss, glorious. Speaking of the contracts, though, Taylor Decker gets his. Up next is going to be Alim McNeill. Alim McNeill was admitted by Brad Holmes earlier today. General manager Brad Holmes says, yep, Alim McNeill's contract's going to be next. He deserves it. He's earned it. Doesn't want to talk about football, though, or doesn't want to talk about the contract, though. Sorry. Alim McNeill has no interest in updates on his contract situation, doesn't want to talk to his agent about it, doesn't want to talk to the media about it. Alim McNeill says, no. It's football time. I'm just going to focus on football right now. Hey, agent, you continue to negotiate. Keep doing what you can to get me that best deal that you possibly can. Negotiate by all means. I just don't want to hear about it until the deal's done. Once you tell me the deal is done, I will sign on the dotted line. But until then, Alim McNeill doesn't want to hear anything. He is focused on football, and it's showing in training camp. Alim McNeill looks like the dominant defensive tackle that he broke out to be last year in his third year, entering the final year of his deal. Alim McNeill looks like he will end up being the fifth Detroit Lion to sign a massive, star-studded, team pillar type of contract, joining Taylor Decker, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's just going to be the next in line. And speaking of the offensive line, we did see some other moves on the offensive line. Things continue to shuffle around behind the starters. Obviously, we've got the starters, but Colby Sorsdal, he's now playing left tackle. He's playing right tackle. Last year's fifth-round pick out of William and Mary, small school offensive lineman with all the tools, moves back, played right guard last year, and practiced mostly at guard last year. Did make some starts at right tackle when Taylor Decker was down. But Colby Sorsdal is now full-time offensive tackle, flipping between right side and left side. It looks like Colby Sorsdal is OT number 3, and he is mostly at right tackle. Did spend a day at left tackle, but at right tackle, that's where he would actually play in an NFL game. It doesn't matter who he's filling in for. If he's filling in for Taylor Decker, Sewell's going to move to the right, or move from the right to the left, and Colby Sorsdal is going to play right tackle. If Penei Sewell goes down, then Sorsdal just steps right in at the right tackle position. He is clearly OT3. And then the battle behind him continues. Dan Skipper, mostly playing with the second team offensive line at left tackle, but on the day that Sorsdal flipped over to the left side, he was repping with the threes. We saw Connor Galvin step in as the backup right tackle. So that is the battle right now. It's pretty clear. Colby Sorsdal, he's going to be OT number 3. He's going to be the first man off the bench if anything happens. OT number 4, Dan Skipper versus Connor Galvin. And does it even matter? Do the Lions keep 2 backup offensive tackles? Do they opt to keep more interior offensive linemen? Because that's a battle as well. And obviously, you have to keep another backup tackle in Giovanni Manu. He's not going to play this year. There's no world where Giovanni Manu is on the field as a starting offensive lineman. They would sign someone off the practice squad like a Galvin, like a Dan Skipper, if that were to happen. But you got to keep a spot for him. So how does it shake out at tackle? Does Dan Skipper make the team? Can Connor Galvin beat him out? Or are both going to end up either cut or on the practice squad because of the showing out from Sorsdal, because of the drafting of Giovanni Manu? Or Does Dan Skipper slide into the interior offensive line battle with Coyote Awoshika, Natani Muti, and Michael Neese? So it seems as though Michael Neese is the backup center right now. He's center number 2. But we all know in reality, Graham Glasgow is the backup center. If anything happens to Frank Ragnow, Glasgow kicks into the interior. He's the pivot now at center. So do the Lions keep a backup center who's, by all accounts, performing worse than the 2 backup guards right now just to have a center? Seems unlikely with the versatility of Graham Glasgow. So really, it's Coyote Awoshika versus Natani Muti. And the practice reps give it to Awoshika. Awoshika, who filled in last year in the playoffs, filled in for Jonah Jackson when he missed the 49ers game, when he went down during the Buccaneers game. He has experience with the Detroit Lions. He has shown that he can be a fine fill-in for a game or two. But so far, he hasn't had the best training camp. Natani Muti, who came over from the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly on their practice squad, was a draft pick of the Denver Broncos a couple of years before that. He joins the squad and, by all accounts, is slowly outperforming Coyote Awoshika. Now, he is facing lesser talent in the one-on-ones, but this is just a sign that things are not settled on the offensive line, at least as a backup. We know that it's going to be Colby Sorsdal on the outside as the backup. In the interior, could be Awoshika, could be Muti, could be Dan Skipper, could be Michael Neese, could be Christian Mahogany if he ever comes off the non-football illness list, if he is able to get healthy and join the team. So it's going to be a battle on the offensive line, but it's so nice to know that the starters are just fully set. You got Sewell, highest paid left tackle, highest paid right tackle, highest paid tackle period in the NFL at $28 million per year. You've got your left tackle in Taylor Decker, now the 13th, I think I said earlier. What is he number? OT 14, my apologies. OT 14 at left tackle. And then at center, you've got the highest paid center in the league at Frank Ragnow. And so I'm sure there's people starting to wonder, hey, can the Lions really afford all this? You know, you're spending a lot of money on the offensive line with 2 top 15 offensive tackles and the highest paid center in the NFL. Surely that's a lot of money. And I think this is the way the Lions are getting around it. So Ragnow, yes, he's the highest paid center in the NFL, but he's only making $13.5 million per year. Centers are vastly underpaid when you compare them to tackles, obviously, and even guards. The top paid guards now are making $20, $21, $22 million per season. Ragnow, the best center in the NFL, would be one of the best guards in the NFL if he was a guard, is making $7.5 million less than the best guards in the NFL. So that's number one, how the Lions are able to spend so much money on the offensive line. And number two is they've got such steals at guard. We've got Graham Glasgow playing left guard. He signs his 3-year deal, averaging $6.6 million per year. That makes him the 13th highest paid left guard in the NFL and the 27th paid guard period in the NFL. And Kevin Zeitler is even cheaper than Glasgow. Zeitler, the 15th highest paid right guard in the NFL and the 28th overall paid guard in the NFL, making $6 million per year. So yes, the Lions are spending a lot of money on the offensive line, especially at tackle. They're comparatively spending a lot of money at center when you compare center spending around the league, but it's not that much money for the best center in the NFL. And they have absolute steals at guard. And so that's how the Lions are able to field such a dominant starting group on the offensive line, the best offensive line in the NFL by far. They've got a quality backup emerging in Colby Sorsdal, who can play on the interior too. They've got Coyote Awoshika, who has starting playoff experience for the Detroit Lions. They've got Dan Skipper, who was that 6th offensive lineman last year. Unfortunately, didn't report eligible, and the refs didn't catch it, but I digress. They've got options at backup offensive line. It's still unsettled, but it's a good problem to have these types of options. It's a good problem to have an expensive offensive line and it is a great time to be a Detroit Lions fan. That's all for today. That wraps up our update on Taylor Decker and his new contract, wraps up our update on the offensive line. But tune in tomorrow. We're going to have another podcast dropping to talk about all of these other position battles outside the offensive line. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you next time.